Hey guys, I'm Rich from NeoWin, and today we're unboxing the Lenovo Yoga C640. This thing has Intel's Comet Lake processors, so it's a little bit different than the one that I reviewed last year. The C630 actually had a Qualcomm Snapdragon 850 in it, so this is not a Windows on ARM PC like that last one was. If you want more of a successor to that, that's going to be the Yoga 5G, and that one's coming out later on. So, like I said, Intel Comet Lake processors, it's a convertible, it's got pen support, and it's more of an entry-level PC, coming in at $599. It includes a Core i3 10110U processor. I haven't seen a Core i3 PC in a long time. Those don't come across my desk much. It's mostly i5, i7, i9, stuff like that. So that's going to be fun just to try that out because I like trying things I haven't tried. The Core i3 in the Comet Lake lineup, I mean Ice Lake too, to be honest, is dual core, 4 threads, UHD graphics, stuff like that, standard stuff. This machine does come with 8 gigs of RAM. It's 128 gig SSD. By the way, if you want something a little better, on Lenovo's website, this model is sold at Best Buy. On Lenovo's website, they also have one with the Core i5 10210U, which is a quad-core chip with 8 threads. It's got 8 gigs of RAM also, but it's got a 256 gig SSD. But this one's $599. And by the way, I mentioned pen support. It does not actually come with the pen. That is something that you would have to buy separately for $699. Now, let's get this guy open and see what we're dealing with here. I'm guessing it's going to be a very similar chassis to the one I had last year with the Yoga 630. It was the Yoga 630 WOS that I reviewed last year, which stands for Windows on Snapdragon. Pull this open. Very tightly wrapped, I gotta say. One thing I'll say is that the 630, just as far as packaging goes, the 630 was done differently. The 630, a lot of these PCs, you can see this is the standard, cardboard box look. Sometimes they put another box inside, which is more of a fancier, consumer-friendly box, and the Yoga 630 did have that. C630, I should say. This is the C6. C means convertible. This one does not, obviously. It's just got the styrofoam. And then we've got a charger in here. Guessing no pen, unless Lenovo decided to send me one. Nope. So it is just the charger. And it better be USB-C. It's all one piece here, which is kind of interesting. No, it's a barrel charger, which is kind of interesting to me. And it is 45 watts. I don't know if I've ever seen a barrel charger or pin charger from Lenovo, just because Lenovo has their own proprietary charging mechanism. It's kind of shaped like a USB Type A port. And you see those a lot on stuff that either is too high of a wattage to support USB Type-C or like the ThinkBook where they don't even support USB Type-C. So that's a little interesting. Now, yep, there's your charging port right here. So we're going to have to make sure that we can charge via USB Type-C because that is a deal breaker for me, even at that mid-level price point of $599. USB Type-C charging is a must. Honestly, any PC should be able to use the same charger as the rest, unless the wattage is too high for USB Type-C. That's the only reasonable excuse for not supporting USB Type-C. So we can see the design here, very similar to what we've seen from various models of the Yoga series, to be honest. Got a little piece of paper here. It's a 13.3-inch laptop. You see we've got these speakers on the sides of the keyboard. It's it's almost the same chassis as the C630, except there are a few changes. Like the C630 didn't actually have USB Type A. I don't think I've ever seen a Snapdragon PC that has USB Type A. But anyway, this one does. Alright, some bad news. As you can see, it is not charging while I have the USB Type-C cable plugged in here. So that's a real bummer. At $599, if you're not getting a Core i5, you're not getting a 256 gig SSD, I would kind of hope that this wouldn't be a corner that they would choose to cut. Like I said, we have ports, USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A. There's that power port, 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Over on this side, another USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A, and then we have USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type C, and then there's your power button over here. Fingerprint sensor, which is nice because you're not getting an IR camera for Windows Hello here. We do have a privacy guard on top. So this is the nice thing, by the way. When you have a privacy guard like this, you know, obviously, like, it just closes up that way. And you don't have to worry about putting a piece of tape over your webcam, as some people like to do. Now, the problem with having facial recognition on a laptop is that those privacy guards block facial recognition as well. So, you know, you're working, you turn on the privacy guard, you leave it, and then you go to turn it on the next day, and then facial recognition doesn't work. So that, I mean, it's a pain point that hasn't been sorted out, because the Windows Hello IR cameras actually require the webcam to work too. So you can't do it with a privacy guard. So yeah, you got a fingerprint sensor for that. Like I said, speakers that are next to the keyboard, and it's a solid keyboard too. I love Lenovo keyboards, whether it's ThinkPads or I'm starting to like the consumer laptops even better because they're a little shallower than the ThinkPad keyboards. ThinkPad keyboards, they're great, but they're deeper. Like, ThinkPads are made for almost for a different era. You know, these are shallower, it's more modern, but they still feel good to type on. And, you know, this is going to be no different. Like I said, I've reviewed enough Lenovo laptops like to know what to expect here. That's why I wasn't surprised to see the design color that's called iron gray. You know, I've seen it's made of aluminum, which, by the way, it's not too heavy or anything. It actually comes in at 2.98 pounds, which is pretty impressive. It's not something that's ultralight or anything, but it is light. You know, under 3 pounds is good, especially at that $599 price point. So that's pretty solid. By the way, the other thing that Lenovo says is new is that these speakers are Dolby Atmos certified, which is really new because I don't think the audio quality was that good last year. Like, it had those speakers, but I don't remember being like super impressed. Like I was with, say, the Yoga C640, which had that rotating soundbar in the hinge, which sounds amazing. You know, so this should be an improvement. Lenovo's been focusing on audio quality a lot over the last couple years, so it's really nice to see that getting better. So there's a lot that's good here. There's a lot that I have concerns about as well. The biggest thing I have concern about is that Core i3 processor. It's been a while since I've used the Core i3, and the last time I did, I wouldn't have recommended that to anyone. I usually tell people to go for an i5 or better. You know, if you're mainstream, get that i5. And like I said, there is an i5 model of this. You're just going to have to pay a little more. And I mean, it might make sense to pay a little more because this is still, like, this is going to be a pretty good machine overall. There just might be some issues like 128 gigs of storage, Core i3. And then, of course, like, you kind of have to start asking, oh, and by the way, no USB Type-C charging. So you kind of have to ask, is it worth that $599? I'm also, throughout the course of this review, I'm going to see, like, I've reviewed some other PCs around this price point. I have to kind of take a look back at the specs of those. I have to see what else is on the market and just kind of look at, this price point. Reviewing a product around this price point revolves a lot around value and what you're getting for that price. Because obviously you're not getting what you get from a $2,000 PC, or from like a Yoga C640. So like, it's about looking at the compromises that were made and seeing if they were worth it. Like, did they cut out things that are too important? Is it now a deal breaker? Stuff like that, like USB Type-C charging. That is a deal breaker for me. That's a big thing. But I don't know. So I'm gonna take a look at how this compares to what else is going on throughout the course of this review while I'm using it. So stay tuned, guys. I'm Rich from NeoWin. Have a great night.